What's up, lovely Earthling? Straight out of Africa. I am Y311H. You see, the levels of dishonesty in this world are quite alarming. From media to individual souls out there. It's why we here are constantly on our toes to spread our message of honesty to the whole world. And you, child of God, will be helping us by reacting to incredible videos that we have today, while at the same time spreading this good message. And our message, my friend, also entails other four important virtues, which are forgiveness, kindness, unity, my friends, and the last one of them is love, the unconditional love of God. I hope you'll be filled with love and joy in your heart as we go through this episode together. And my friend, before we dive in on today's show, we shall also be feeding our souls. And how do we do that? Well, we here read from this good vibes book called the Book of Wisdom, the Guide of Life, because it has information that helps us in spreading our message. Like today, it has a short story about dishonesty. Hear what it says. The story is found in this book, Acts chapter 5, from verse 1 going down. And it starts like this. Now, a man named Ananias, together with his wife, Sapphira, sold a piece of property. With his wife's full knowledge, he kept back part of the money for himself, but brought the rest and put it at the apostles' feet. Then Peter said, Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept for yourself some of the money you received for the land? Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? And after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied to men, but to God. When Ananias heard this, he fell down and died, and great fear seized all who heard what happened. Then the young men came forward, wrapped up his body, and carried him out and buried him. About 3 hours later, his wife came in, not knowing what had happened. Peter asked her, Tell me, is this the price you and Ananias got for the land? Yes, she said, that is the price. Peter said to her, How could you agree to the Spirit of the Lord, to test the Spirit of the Lord? Look, the feet of the men who buried your husband are at the door, and they will carry you out also. At that moment, she fell down at his feet and died. Then the young men came in and finding her dead, carried her out and buried her beside her husband. Great fear seized the whole church and all who heard about these events. Honesty, my friends, honesty. Let's talk with our beautiful, wonderful Creator before we dive in on today's show. Father Lord, full of love and kindness, thank you for this day, Father. Thank you for your breath in us, Father. Thank you for your beautiful child that you have led to this channel today. We give you glory for that, Father. Dear Lord, as we react to the videos that you have today, together with this child of yours, may you bless us, Father. Intervene in this viewer's life, Father. Give strength to their souls, dear Lord. Be merciful to them and forgive them all their sins, Father. And may your Spirit guide and protect us till the end of this episode. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Let's dive in, child of God.
Unfortunately, we'll never know if Neo was actually a program or a human, because it's much like Plato's Allegory of the Cave, except it's kind of an expansion of the Allegory of the Cave. So in the Allegory of the Cave, you have prisoners that are tied up. Behind them, because of a fire, they're casting shadows onto the wall. And the people and the instruments that are casting these shadows are hidden so that the prisoners can only see the shadows in this dark cave. After a while, these prisoners would accept that this is reality, if they knew nothing else. And then if one of them were able to break free and to see what was actually going on behind them, They would be overwhelmed by the brightness of the fire and all of the things that they see now making the shadows, and that would shatter their reality, so they would most likely turn back to the shadows on the wall for comfort and decide to keep that as their reality. And the architect actually mentions this when he tells Neo that everybody inside the Matrix has a choice, whether it's nearly unconscious or not, to stay in the Matrix. They're choosing to stay and watch the shadows on the wall. So the allegory of the cave goes further, and it says, what if you dragged one of these prisoners out of the cave? Because it would be so uncomfortable for them to see light and all the change to their reality that they most likely wouldn't want to go. But what if you dragged somebody up to the surface and they were able to experience the surface and start to habituate to it? Well, after a while, they would realize that being on the surface is superior. So they would go back down, most likely, into the cave to try to help all of the other prisoners with the information they've gained, because they know what it's like to be a prisoner. But when this person would go back down into the cave, their vision wouldn't be that great because they've been out on the surface where it's so bright. And when they go in and they tell these people in the cave that this is not reality, they would see that this man seems blind from going outside and that he's not making sense, and he's contradicting what the prisoners see as reality. And if they were able to, they would reach out and destroy him. So the trilogy takes this idea one step further. What if this person who went up and saw the real world, what if that was just another layer of the cave? What if these people here that are controlling everything, what if they realized eventually a prisoner might get out or might be dragged out? And Neo was very much dragged out. Morpheus and Trinity pursued him. The agents put pressure on him so that he had to work with them, or else he was going to have his life ruined. The entire time he felt like he was making decisions, but he was being dragged out of the cave, metaphorically speaking. You were running this cave, you were the ones projecting the shadows onto the walls, and you knew that there was people that are just like Neo. They want to escape. Well, when you designed this metaphorical cave, the Matrix, you wouldn't just have the shadows on the walls. You would have that for the people who want to sit there, the prisoners who don't want to leave, who don't want to shatter their reality, even when confronted with evidence. But we know the machines are trying to predict our outcomes, and they know that there's going to be people like Neo who want to get out of the cave. So what if you designed it like a cave in the real world, where there's multiple layers, there's more than one chamber, and each chamber gets you further up and closer to the surface, but you're still not out. Now, some people might think, oh, I would be able to tell I was still in the cave because it still looks like a cave. But we have to remember in this idea of the Matrix that we have no context other than the shadows on the wall. That's all Neo knows. And that's why in the first Matrix film, Mouse says that they don't actually know what chicken tastes like. They only know what the Matrix has told them chicken tastes like. They still base their definitions of what chicken is and what it tastes like off of a simulation that they were living in. For all they know, chicken is inedible in the real world, or it tastes like celery. And the point I'm getting at is, if you don't have context, every new chamber would seem like the outside. And even if this person was primed, say they told this outside dweller that they were going to see the sun and they would see mountains and trees. Well, these are caves that grow these entire ecosystems. They have their own weather. They have rivers and lakes. And so if you only ever saw shadows on the wall and you came to this, you would think this was the outside. You would think you'd made it out into the real world, and you would stop looking for another exit. And this is why Zion is part of the Matrix, because all of these people are so sure that they broke out, but they have no idea what the real world is. Or if there was even a real world to break out to, every single person could just be a simulation, and that there's no real body that connects them back to. They could have all just made it out of this base layer of the shadows that is the Matrix. And now they're all sitting on some cave beach thinking that they're outside of the cave, when in reality they never left. It's because of the limited perspective that they have. And this is all by design. So in reality, we don't know what Neo is. He could be a human that's trapped in multiple layers. He could be trapped in infinite layers. He could just be a brain sitting in a petri dish. He could be a simulation that's being run just to flush out the Matrix before they actually implement it. Maybe just like in Blade Runner, that machines can dream too, and this is all their dream. That's where this all really applies back to our lives, is if we're so sure we made it out of the cave, then we're never going to keep looking. Neo really stopped looking for an exit in a lot of ways because he just believed what he was led to believe. He was put on a path and he followed it. He never broke free, he just took a tour of the caves and made sure that the next people who want to dare to wander out will never really get out.
85% of affairs start at
Workplace,
work.
baby.
What's going on there?
We've asked our spouses to be everything. They have to be co-earners, co-parents, co-house runners. And so what you have is two people who are good at co-managing the house, and you have absolutely no shared purpose or building anything together. And then I go to work, and me and you and two amazing women are working together on a project that's going to help 10 million people. Now we have shared purpose. We're talking about how we feel about things. We have a goal. We have metrics. I'm spending more time with her or him than I am with my spouse.
That's right.
And the time we're spending together is rich. We're laughing, telling jokes. Oh my gosh. Of course it happens at work. I think everybody has to check themselves wherever they happen to be.
I have a couple questions, and I hope that you can answer them for me, because I just went down a huge rabbit hole over on XDX, and I need your help. So my questions are this. They say allegedly that this map hangs in an office somewhere inside of the UN. I don't know if that's true or not, but what I am going to say is, what the hell's up with this map? Because it looks an awful lot like this map. And if you have seen my video on this map, you know exactly what I'm fixing to say. I want you to pay attention up there where it says Asgard. This is another map that I found over there on XDX. This is that map blown up. Here's that map blown up again. Look what it says. What's that say? Asgard. Here's that map again. Asgard. So with Asgard being up there, does that mean that's a play on this map? Because Asgard is on both of these maps. And if you look in the upper left corner over there, this map has a verse in German, and it is Enoch 18 verse 4, which says, "And I saw the winds which turned the sky and caused the disk of the sun and all the stars to set. I saw the winds on the earth which support the clouds, and I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heaven above." So this map has a verse, Enoch 18:4, which talks about the firmament, which allegedly this is what our planet looks like. It's flat on the bottom and then it has a dome. So is Enoch confirming this map? And when you type this in on Google, this is the answer you get. Long lost under... And look what's circled up there. You see what's circled up there? That's going to lead you to my next question. Look at this. Look at that area that's circled up top. And then looky here. But is this a mirror? And is it really showing us what the earth looks like from above? I mean, if you look at this picture, it breaks it down and it makes complete sense, y'all. Like, this is crazy. I never would have thought of this. And if you look at this part of the map, it looks like this place, Hyboria. And if you look at the top up here, that's Asgard at the top. And you know Hyboria was supposed to have existed thousands and thousands of years ago. It's supposed to be set in prehistoric Europe and North Africa. And it's supposed to have included the Atlanteans from Atlantis and the Lemurians from the Inner Earth. And the Hyborian Age emerged after a flourishing of civilization after the drowning of lost lands. But seriously, does this not look like Hyboria? Y'all, what? I'm telling you it does, because Asgard is literally right there. And if you look at this map, there's Hyboria, and then Asgard is way north. But I want to show you something else. This was published in 1907. Was this world map made 10 centuries ago, 1,000 years ago? And they're referring to the map that's up there, that coincidentally looks a lot like this map. Don't you think? There's a lot of similarities there. This is a map that came across from China all the way to a doctor in Honolulu in 1907. And this map was allegedly made by Chinese priests over 1,000 years ago. And it was found by his brother in a Japanese temple in the mountains of Japan. And according to a letter, the original map was brought from China by a Buddhist priest and concealed in that temple. And this doctor said that his brother would not be treated by modern medicine, even though his brother was a doctor. He wanted to go into the woods and learn the cures and to be able to cure himself. And he went into the woods, and that's the map that he found when he was on his journey. So is there some kind of truth to this map? And is that why it's hanging where it's said to be hanging, allegedly? Now, I don't know if this is true or not on here, but this talks about the Middle Earth and the War of Wrath and everything before the Second Age. Can someone explain this to me? Because what? I really can't make any sense of it because everything I have found talks about the Lord of the Rings and this map here of the Middle Earth. So did Tolkien make this map up, or did Tolkien know something and put it out there without putting it out there? You know what I mean? I don't know. And while I got you, I want to show you one more thing. If you look directly above me, this is a clock that is in the middle of Prague. And this clock has literally malfunctioned, been damaged because it caught fire, allegedly. But if you look at this clock, and then you look at this moon map over here on the right-hand side, that tracks all of the zodiac signs because of the moon cycles and phases. Y'all, what? I mean, I'm not saying anything, but if it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, and talks like a duck, it's gotta be a duck, right? Because what else could it be? I mean, it looks like twins. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think about this? Like, these maps have blown my mind tonight. This whole rabbit hole has been insane. And if you guys know anything about this, please let me know below because, baby, this is crazy. As always, TikTok, this video is for entertainment purposes only. This is just for speculation. This is my opinion. There is no truth to this. This is all made up. So please leave my video alone. Thank you.
Yo, wonderful opinion from that Atlin there, child of God. Good episode. Our theme of today's episode was honesty. And if everyone was honest with everyone since the beginning of time, there wouldn't be all this confusion with people having different maps of the world, like what we've just seen. Because we others believe the world is circular, others the world is flat. Crazy things, my friends, and it's all because of lack of honesty. Even from the statistics we've just seen of where married couples or people in relationship tend to cheat more, which you have concluded or heard is at work. And all that, my friend, even cheating is dishonest. People not being honest. And now, my friend, if we take things in the concept of the first video, the good vibes guy that was talking about the matrix, our role in this matrix should be to spread honesty and good vibes to other Athens. Let's keep on watching, my friends, and I wish and hope you really enjoy the videos. Peace.
Will never be another Michael Jackson, but we have one. Blanket.
Howard, you know Brandon Howard?
Yeah.
He's coming out as Michael's son.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that story?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it. I honestly believe it. He's a young guy, entertainer, looks like Mike, sounds like Mike. You would thought it was Mike.
Really?
No, literally, me knowing Mike's mannerisms, when I see him, I couldn't believe who it was.
Has he had any hits?
Not yet.
Will he? Well, this will make him get some hits.
I'm definitely giving him some hits.
When someone passes, you are not supposed to mourn that. You are actually supposed to celebrate the death of their physical vessel, especially if they had a very difficult life or a hard time or they were sickly. You're actually supposed to celebrate that. I want you to think of something. Drink a bottle of water and let it become empty, and then I want you to cry because it's gone. The soul and the spirit is hosted within the body. The body is not the being. It is a physical representation of that being on the inside. What a person is actually sad about is the connection they had with that specific physical vessel, because the existence of said person is so infinite and is so beyond the body. The body is what people would call a prison. It's also called your temple. It's also called your house. And when you leave out of your house, there's so much more life. Do you get where I'm going? Some of us are deemed heartless, and it's actually just because we understand this concept. We're deemed heartless because we don't go to funerals. We do not attend funerals for loved ones, friends. It doesn't matter how close we were to the being. We're not going to attend a funeral. Then some that do attend who don't even agree with attending wonder why when they get there they feel so dead. They feel so sad. They feel emotions they didn't even feel prior to even going to the funeral. They actually just wanted to support. This is why when the family gets the ashes, you go to the waters and you give the ashes and you give the body back to the waters. You return the body from whence it came. You came here through waters. Right? Ashe? Henceforth, cremation. Burying the body actually makes it hard for said soul to move on.
I don't understand how nobody's talking about this. I spotted this yesterday. But there is a hot air balloon that has traveled from South Dakota and is almost to the Bahamas.
Scroll down on the left.
It is a balloon This is what it is. It doesn't tell me where it's from, but it says it's at 62,000 feet, and it has been at that the entire way, because it shows it by color. So it's like this is where it started getting really high, and then it just stayed that high all the way across the entire United States. I spotted it yesterday whenever it was over here in this area, and now it is the middle of the ocean.
What the hell is growing in my front lawn?
What the hell? What is going on? Oh my God, where's the rest of him?
You know how Chinese people feel about their son. So if you haven't heard yet, a third mysterious shipping container has popped up. This time in a farmer's field here in the States. And farmer goes out to this refrigerated container again. And it's also not locked. The crazy thing about, well, actually it's all crazy, but the first crazy thing he notices about this is that there are no lines. Like there are no from it being wheeled in or rolling in or being drug in. Like there's no grass or anything disturbed. So he assumes, and I kind of do too now that I'm thinking about it, that this was airdropped. This container had been airdropped there specifically. Okay? Also, like I said, the container was not locked. He was able to open it. He goes inside of it. And not only is there more chicken in there, but there's also buckets and containers filled with loose liquid chemicals. Like there's no lids on them. He doesn't know what the chemical is. He said he thought it looked like bleach, but we can't confirm it because his video has been taken down. We don't know if he took it down or if TikTok took it down or for some reason he got spooked and took it down, but it's down. So we can't ask any questions. I mean, this is the third one in less than a month. Now, if you've been following along, there was a gentleman, I think he said he was somewhere in the South, popped up right outside of his house. Now, this was on the tracks. It was a train cargo container. Also had a freezer on it running. He wouldn't open it. Good for him. Like, immediately, I feel like you would get arrested or something. The one before that washed up on shore. So you got ships in water dropping off containers. You got containers being airdropped from planes or helicopters onto a man's farm land. And then you got one rolling in on the tracks. What's next? What's next? Chicken again, too? There's no such thing as a free lunch, my boy.
What's that? Oh, a third shipping container randomly showed up in a farmer's field this time? What? Yeah, but this time the farmer went in to check it out, and he shows the video of going up to the container and showing that there's no markings on how that